that's a business or a fitness, plan or journey, things like that. To me, the mindset is the foundational thing for everything. I think you have to have the strong mindset. Again, that's not something you're born with. It comes from repetition. It comes from being true to yourself, trusting yourself, and you start to get the real confidence when you start to execute things, and you're actually starting to see momentum from the progress you make. But I think the mindset is the main thing. And what I'd like to do is share some common excuses people have about starting businesses, because I know there's a lot of listeners out there that are curious about this, and I know this is going to resonate with them because they likely use the exact same excuses, and I want to give them kind of rebuttals to each of those things.
Right.
So, number one, what is the name excuse? It's fear, self-doubt, and lack of confidence. That's what keeps most people from starting. You touched on this with the critics. Here's the thing about fear. You're not afraid of failure. Everybody talks about that. That's a surface level onion peel type thing where they just give you the outer layer. Like when someone asks you why aren't something, like, yeah, I'm afraid of failing. I got too much to lose. There's always variations of this fear. But here's the thing. You're not actually afraid of failure. We all fail. We fail every single day in different ways. I mean, it can go like, we're at the gym. When you're working on your last set of reps, you actually work out till you fail, right? So you actually expect to fail. It's part of the process to get stronger. Well, business, things like that are no different. You have to understand that failure is part of that process. But what most people are not, they're actually not afraid of fear. They're afraid of what other people will say about their fear. They let other critics and naysayers dictate their life. They're worried about stepping into that spotlight because they're worried about what other people are going to say about them. And here's the thing you got to understand about critics and naysayers and haters. They are just miserable people. People who are willing to tear other people down just to try to make themselves feel better. It's something that's wrong with them. It's not you. And when you start to actually show empathy for your haters and your critics and understand that maybe there's something going on in their life and they feel the need to drag other people down and hang out in their pity party, wallow pool with them, that's the thing that's going to matter. Like when you understand that you can gain empathy for the haters and understand why they're like that, it makes it really easy for you to accept it. Now, that's not going to say that you don't feel emotion from that sting or that comment or something they said, but you're able to process it better when you understand why they're doing it. You understand the psychology behind it. And actually, nowadays, whenever I get a critic, especially on Facebook or social media, I use that as a lesson to show my audience how to handle them. I don't like fight back. When I was younger, I would try to get in the keyboard warrior stuff and argue back, prove them wrong, trying to convince them why I'm right. It never works, guys. They're not doing it because they want to be proven wrong or they don't believe you. They're doing it because there's something internal within them that's causing them some kind of pain, or maybe they're seeing that you're on this trajectory of improving, whether it's your fitness, your business, your relationships, and they see all these things going good for you, and their life sucks. So they're trying to hold you back down or knock you down a level or try to make you look stupid or try to make you look less intelligent to make themselves feel better. So understand why they do it. It makes it really easy to go through. So the next excuse that keeps people from starting is I don't have money. I don't have enough money to start a company. Like I'm lacking money. Well, here's the problem, guys. That is not the actual problem. That's a surface level excuse too that you tell somebody else that makes a bunch of excuses. Both of you nod your heads and go, yeah, I don't have money either. It's kind of like this mutual agreement. Like we're not going to expand further into that and understand why we don't have money. So a lot of times people are like, well, I got this dream business, Tony, and I think it's going to take like $3 million to start. And I don't have $3 million. And it's like, well, why don't you start a company that takes $300 to start? And then you see their eyes get big, and it's like, my dream job, I would love to have an exotic car dealership around a road course that's sitting there and 200 acres of land. But I know that's $500 million or something to have that. I don't have $500 million either, but what can I do to work towards that?
Yeah.
Sometimes the dream company is 2 or 3 companies down the road.
Right.
Sometimes people cop out and they're like, oh, I can't start my dream business. So I'm just going to stop and just turn my brain off. And to me, you're just a big quitter when you do that, because you have to start thinking about climbing those stairs. Like, what is the first step? Can I build a company that makes $500,000 a year? Can I build a company that makes $2 million a year? Can I make one that goes $10 million a year? You can scale up different companies by building, scaling, and selling. And that's kind of the process. I try to keep people from thinking about that. And a lot of times the money thing is just a real easy, lame excuse. I mean, when I started my first company, I was $40,000 in debt, working 3 jobs, and had a newborn son. So I don't like hearing people that have excuses about, they're blaming their wife, their kids, things like that for them not doing things, because what it comes down to it is the other excuse, number 3, is I don't have time. I don't have time, Tony. man, I'd love to start a company. I don't have time. Well, you know what? We all have the same 24 hours a day. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, has the same 24 hours a day, and he manages probably 1,000 different companies that are spinoffs from Amazon. But how does he do it? Well, he's got a team. Well, yeah, but he's still got the same 24 hours a day. You don't think he's busier than you? And you start to think about that and you go, how many times, like, I don't have time is my favorite excuse, because that's the excuse that people who hang around with other excuse makers like to share with each other. They say, hey, man, I don't have time, man. I'd love to do that. I don't have time. And they're like, yeah, you're right, man. I don't have time either. We're cool. And the conversation usually just ends right there, right? That's how.
Or what'd you watch on Netflix last night?
Yeah. So they tell someone like me that, and I'm like, oh, you don't have time? It's like, let me see. I'm running 3 companies. I do private coaching and I do public speaking events, and I still do social media, and I create all these different things for content. I don't know, man. I still go to the gym. I'm in the best shape of my life. It's like, I don't know.
Kids' birthdays.
I guess I don't have time, and I think about it. So I say, let's think about what you do after your normal job. I get it. If you have a job and you have bills to pay, that's your responsibility. You got to do that. What do you do when you get home? Well, I sit on the couch and I watch the show, and it's like, so here's what I want people to reframe themselves. Whatever you're doing right now, whatever you're doing on a daily basis, those are your priorities.
Exactly.
Those are your priorities. And when you start to reframe it as I don't have time versus it's not my priority, some of those things that you're doing are going to cause you a little pain. And I want you to pay attention to that pain, because that pain is telling you that you shouldn't be doing it. You should be working on something else. So I'm not going to say I don't like, watching TV. My wife wants me to watch TV sometimes with her, and we watch a show. But there's also times I'm watching those shows thinking, man, I should be doing something else. Like, this is not this. I enjoy it, but it's not my priority. And damn sure whenever I have things to do and I should be doing it, I will not be sitting there watching TV.
Right.
Me being fit and eating right and doing things is my priority. Health is a priority. It makes no sense to be financially successful and unhealthy and sick and no energy.
Exactly.
Like, you got to put your health first. We only get to, that's the only thing we can take care of is our health. So understand, like, when you're watching TV, that's your priority. When you're playing video games, that's your priority. When you're surfing Facebook or social media for hours, that's your priority. And when you tell people, like, I don't have time to start a company or do this or get fit, it's like you're just telling them that that's not your priority. Yeah. So it's a big excuse, guys. Don't fall into that trap just because your friends tell you that same excuse.